Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast, where we provide you with your weekly diagnosis of everything fantasy football. Whether it's season-long leagues, dynasty, DFS, or sometimes even IDP, we got you covered all year long. Let's do it. Let's get to it. Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast, and I'm your host, John June, and of course, got my guy, Greg Penniman here on this Saturday morning with me. Greg, what is good, man?
What is going on? Yes, beautiful Saturday morning. Fall season, spooky season is here, so you gotta love that. And we thought it was gonna be a pretty average Thursday night football game. It turned out to be a really, really good one, really entertaining one. Unfortunately, the results just not in my favor and Giants fans' favor. That was definitely the most Giants way to lose, I would say. That's how I put it.
Yeah, I mean the Giants end up covering here a score of 30-29 in Washington's favor. I guess for Greg, what is your first Thursday night takeaway as we head into these Thursday night takeaways?
I would, go straight to all the Giants' mistakes and how they beat themselves, but I'm gonna talk about how Taylor Heinicke, just him as a person, he balled as out in this game as a player, came a long way, undrafted, unranked, everything. Like this is a true underdog story. He played really well, 34 for 46, 336. This man balled out, and continue to, I think, have opportunities to be. You said he could be a streaming quarterback down the line. I think we could agree with that.
No, absolutely. I mean, I talked about how in week one, even in coming in relief, he was seventh in the NFL in fantasy points per dropback, passing fantasy points per dropback. So this was a guy that was efficient. The eyeball test kind of showed you that even last year. Quarterback is one of those positions where everybody's that's playing in the NFL is physically gifted and physically talented enough to play quarterback in the NFL, right? The difference sometimes is the composure that these guys play with, the moxie, the decision making, the playmaking ability. And Taylor Heinicke, in relief, he shows that, right?
Yep.
He shows, as like you said, undrafted free agent. He was the quarantine quarterback for Washington last year. Comes into a playoff game against Tampa Bay, which was the number one defense in the league at the time, in a playoff game with Tom Brady on the other side, and he made it a fight.
Yep.
And so when you see that, and then you see him come in and do it again, right? Like he goes up against the Chargers, Justin Herbert's on the other sideline, and he's doing it again. It's just like, okay, well, this is 2 times in a row. I mean, if it happens a third time, it's not a coincidence here. So it happens a third time with Taylor Heinicke. And this is the first time that we've seen Taylor Heinicke with a whole week to be the right? Not even a whole week, but just like the first team reps in practice, knowing you're going to be the guy, getting to say, oh, hey, me and Terry, we're going to get on the same page on some things. Because that was one of my Thursday night takeaways is Terry McLaurin. You've called him a young D-Hop, the new D-Hop, yes, in terms of being able to play with any quarterback. He's proven that. But 11 of 14 targets, yes. 11 of 14, 107 yards, and a touchdown.
Got that 100 yards. Yes, sir.
You talked about it, Terry, getting over 100 yards. I mean, James Bradbury, how, the Giants historically struggle against Terry McLaurin, and we kind of referenced how James Bradbury is not the best matchup for Terry McLaurin just because how they're kind of put together physically.
So much space. It's crazy. I don't know.
Terry McLaurin is because Terry McLaurin is so fast and he's so low to the ground.
He's so good.
Because he's not like a behemoth of a wide receiver. He's not like Mike Evans, where James Bradbury would relish those being up against those guys because he can just get up in their faces where he can't get in Terry McLaurin's face. And so that's one of my takeaways. The other takeaway I have, this one's for you, Greg, is will the real Daniel Jones please stand up? Because Giants fans, everyone's killing him, talking about, hey, Giants have to get a new quarterback next year, and here comes Daniel Jones playing possibly one of his best games on the year, not on the year, but of his career even. You mean just talk about the plays that weren't even made, right? The
Oh,
drop touchdown pass to Darius Slayton, the
50
58
yeah,
50 yard
on
touchdown run that got called back. I mean, Daniel Jones played well. 22 of 32, 249 yards, a touchdown pass, had 95 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown. We talked about the 50-yard run that was called back. So he could have potentially had 150 yards and two rushing touchdowns. I mean, that
and
would be
two
a
passing
monster week.
touchdowns.
Yeah, and two passing touchdowns. That would be a monster week for any,
Word.
running back to have 150 and two touchdowns, but for Daniel Jones, the quarterback, to have that, I mean, that would be really good. But what is your takeaways? Daniel Jones goes up against Atlanta next week. Is this a matchup here potentially that we should be looking ahead to with Daniel Jones? Or is he a guy we'll be talking about on Monday for when it comes to the waiver wire?
I mean, as far as fantasy, he finishes QB1 week 1. I mean, he probably will finish definitely top 15 this week, especially still with the rushing floor. So, I mean, as far as fantasy, I think he's definitely a popular, I think, ad if you want for in the two quarterback leagues. He's probably on most rosters. It's popular start, I think, next week for Atlanta and for Saquon Barkley as well. Because Atlanta's defense is horrendous. They got lit up by Jalen Hurts last week, a running style quarterback, and I think we have to say that Daniel Jones is a more running style quarterback as well. Not more running, but he has that capability, and to do it 9 carries is a good volume. So I think Daniel Jones is a play next week for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like you mentioned, Saquon is a good play next week. That's also one of my other takeaways is that Saquon, we see the snaps going like
This is
this,
it.
right?
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
trending in the right direction. The utilization is trending in the right direction. So, was that involved in the pass game as well this week? Was running some routes. So, I think that next week, that's the
Smash
week.
spot. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
that's yeah.
Hey, yo,
Things
time.
are.
This is the time to buy low on Saquon though. Right now, this is it.
I think the time was last week, man. Because
Yeah.
if you're the Saquon manager, you're like the Roto World and NBC Sports Edge. They're getting much better about getting these, like putting in the blurb like, hey, Saquon played this many snaps. He
Yeah.
he upped this
Yeah.
he upped his snap usage from last week. So even the manager, the casual manager is gonna look at let me read the news on Saquon. I'm probably
True.
not
True.
gonna do it. But
True.
yeah, I think you you might have missed that time. But Greg, anything else that you take away from this game other than Sterling
Uh.
Shepard being a man?
Yeah. I mean, Sterling Shepard's dope. I love his performance. Um. I still think Terry McLaurin was the best player in this game, though. He's just amazing. He's just amazing. Everything he does, route running, you talk about the space that Bradbury had to give him. Yeah, it's crazy. He's a great corner. He still had to give him that much space because that man is just amazing.
Yeah, man. Just one more thing. Are you concerned about we saw week one, Antonio Gibson was a three down back. He was getting
Mm.
all the work, all the opportunities. The targets included JD McKissick only had one pass target.
Mm-hmm.
But then this time we see that kind of flip and we see JD McKissick much more involved in the offense. 6 targets, 5 catches, while Antonio Gibson only sees 2 targets, saw 13 carries. Does that concern you that we could see some of what we saw last year with the utilization of McKissick?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, McKissick is a good football player. He does help teams. I would, if I was, had him on my team, I would want him to get, 6 targets a game. Like you should utilize him. So I'm not surprised by that. I'm just hoping that, Tony Gibson gets the bulk of the carry work, which he still did. And yeah, it does bump if JD McKissick is going to still get involved in the passing game, the AG far as elite RB1 season might be capped a little bit. I'd say still he has that low on RB1 potential though.
Yeah, I mean, this was kind of the fear with AG coming into the season. Obviously, we know the talent level, we know the ability that he has even as a receiver, but the problem was always the presence of McKissick and like you said, if McKissick is involved in the pass game, seeing 5 to 6 targets, then that's going to cap the upside of
Yeah.
Antonio Gibson to the point where We're not looking at an RB1 type year, right? Like if he's going to be the RB1 or somewhere in that category, he's going to have to score a ton of touchdowns, right? He's going to have to score 20 touchdowns, 18 touchdowns or something ridiculous to do that. But I think if those receptions aren't here in a PPR league, at best, he's like the RB 15, RB 14, 15, 16, something like that, right? The 14 to 16 range.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how we felt about J.K. Dobbins a little bit, right? Like J.K. Dobbins was a mid-range RB1, and same with Gus Edwards, because those receptions weren't necessarily going to be there. But the problem is, in this Washington offense, they are going to throw the ball to the running back. Is it just, are they going to throw the ball to Antonio Gibson?
Right. And then I'm sure like in 2-minute drill drive, stuff like that, J.D. McKissic is just a good player to have on the field, so it does hurt him a little bit.
Yeah. All right, let's move on, man. Let's move on. We obviously this is game preview part 2 for week 2 here. Yeah, this in episode 187 we covered 9 games, all the Sunday 1 p.m. games, the Las Vegas Raiders versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, Cincinnati at Chicago, Houston at Cleveland, the Rams at Indianapolis, Buffalo at Miami, the Patriots at the Jets, the Niners at the Eagles, the Saints at the Panthers, and the Broncos at the Jags. In terms of the matchups that we will be covering today, obviously the remaining matchups, but if you want to hear about the episodes the matchups that we covered previously, then you can go back to episode 187 and check those out. Obviously, covering the spreads, the totals, the game analysis, as well as the fantasy analysis. So also have starts of the week today. Also have some get money. Greg, before we jump into the matchups, let people know how else they can get involved with football this weekend.
Oh, you already know. Best way to do it probably is with fantasy or in games and stuff like that, but definitely with props is a great way. Player props is a very popular way, up and coming, and to do that, you got to do it on Thrive Fantasy. Thrive Fantasy, you can eliminate the countless hours of research and focus on the top tier athletes that have the biggest impact on the game. You choose out 10 out of the 20 available player props to build your lineup. Each player prop is assigned a fantasy value for both the over and the under based on how likely it is to hit. And you hit the most props and rack up the most points to win a share of the prize pool. For week 1, Thrive had over 140 guaranteed prizes. So week 2, they're going to have just as much or if not more. And with this special offer, new users, if you use the promo code FFDX, you deposit $10 and you get a free ticket to Sunday's $50,000 NFL contest. So that's free money right there. And new users will also receive 100% instant deposit match up to $100. I mean, that's free money. Use that code FFDX today. ThriveFantasy.com.
Ooh, that sounds like a good deal. I might have to take you up on that, man, for sure. Definitely going to be playing some Thrive Fantasy this weekend. As we watch these games on Sunday. It's just another way to get involved, right? When we're doing these projections, and if we think that someone on our fantasy team is going to have a good day, might as well take the over on their rushing yardage prop or their passing yardage prop or their touchdown prop, right? So, Greg, let's dig into these matchups, man. But before that, there is some news to cover. Came out relatively late last night. Josh Jacobs for the Las Vegas Raiders has been ruled out with a toe and an ankle injury. Kenyon Drake will be the lead guy. Peyton Barber is also on the roster here for the Raiders. And so he will be probably the backup guy here to Kenyon Drake, who should be the lead guy. I think he's an RB2 this weekend. Somewhere in that. I have to look. I mean, obviously Antonio Gibson and Saquon Barkley have already played. But if I look, as I look at my rankings, Greg, why don't you how are your feelings about Kenyon Drake this week? They got the matchup against Pittsburgh. It is a decently tough matchup, but he is involved in the pass game. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so reading up on first immediate thought when I saw the news yesterday, Kenyon Drake was going to eat. I'm still hearing some reports too from Rappaport like that. Payne Barber is expected to handle some of the lead duties, but I don't think that, he'll be in some first and second down situations as well. I think Kenyon Drake still has higher upside to get you a top 24 week, a top 30 week for sure, especially with his receptions. And if they're in a competitive game with the Steelers, that's where he thrived last week, 2-minute drills, and just when they're playing hurry up or their offense is kind of grooving with Kenyon Drake and getting down the field. Because other than Darren Waller, Kenyon Drake was probably the next best pass catcher in the team.
Yeah, no, I didn't catch that news about Peyton Barber potentially being a lead guy, but that kind of makes sense. But that just means he'll probably be the first and second down guy.
Yeah,
matchup here is tough against Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
they should be throwing the ball a decent amount. I've got Kenyon Drake on the week as my RB21, so ahead of guys like Mike Davis and Devin Singletary. So that's kind of what you're looking at with Kenyon Drake. And I like the upside here with the ability to get some receptions. So if he's available in your league, I would scoop him up and don't be afraid to plug and play him.
Yeah, definitely. I would have a lot of confidence in playing Kenyon Drake this week.
All right, Greg, let's get into these matchups, man. And Sunday, 4:05 p.m., Minnesota Vikings travel to Arizona to take on the Arizona Cardinals. This is a 51-point total. The Cardinals are 4.5-point favorites in this one. In terms of the injuries here, linebacker Anthony Barr, offensive tackle Christian Darrisaw, defensive end Everson Griffin, and cornerback Harrison Hand are all out for the Minnesota Vikings. On the Arizona side, they're okay in terms of weather. This game's in a dome, so nothing to worry about there. Greg, where are you going with this matchup?
With this game, I'm taking the over. I'm taking the Arizona Cardinals to cover, and I'm taking the Arizona Cardinals to win. On the Arizona side, Kyler Murray, top 3 option every week. This man is ascended to hopefully be a good regular quarterback on the field and an excellent great fantasy quarterback. Just what he does with his legs, he's just so dynamic. The blur on the field. QB1 season, Chase Edmonds got a smash by here. I'm attacking Minnesota rush defense all year, so you got to play him. And D-Hop, wide receiver 1 quality, top 3 at his position as well. And on the Minnesota side, also I like Christian Kirk this week in this matchup, high over under. You like the complementary pieces of Kirk and Rondell Moore. They were both trusted in good situations. That scrambling situation, Rondell Moore knew what to do and get the ball. So I think they have a connection there. Kirk has some flex value as well. On Minnesota side, Kirk Cousins is a great play. Think for streaming. And with Dalvin Cook, RB1 play as well. Thielen and Jefferson should both be involved. Thielen, of course, has that touchdown upside. Jefferson is going to be there as well for you as a low-on wide receiver 1.
Yeah, this game is intriguing for sure, man. I'm taking the over here. I'm on the Arizona side to cover, and I'm taking Arizona to win the game here. Like you said, Kyler, phenomenal player this week, top 3 option. DeAndre Hopkins, definitely playing him, and then Chase Edmonds, great matchup here against Minnesota, who, again, this Minnesota defense is bad. We kind of called it last year from the beginning that, hey, this defense is going to be bad. And they've continued to just be bad. So
Joe Mixon just lit them up, man. Come on, man. RB2 in a week.
Like a Christmas tree, man.
Yes,
and so Chase Edmonds finna do the same here, man. Plus, he's the top option of the running backs because he's going to get that pass game work. How do you feel about James Conner, though, with the potential game script? We both took Arizona to cover. Saw 50% of the running back work last week. If I'm not mistaken, I think he saw 16 carries.
Yeah, no, he got a good volume too in the ground. I mean, you like that. I have him in one league. I'm not afraid to put him in flex conversation, especially in this high over under game. He can get a touchdown in the red zone when they're in there. So yeah, I think he's a decent play.
Yeah, and he looked good on. I was rewatching that game, and James Conner actually looked pretty good.
Edmonds had the really better yards per carry, but yeah. I mean, hopefully Evans gets.
Edmonds looks better than Conner, but if anything were to happen to Edmonds, Conner would step and
Step
be
in.
be an a mid-range RB2, high-end
Yeah,
RB2
for sure.
for sure. Um, yeah, with the receivers, I know Kirk had the big game last week, scored 2 touchdowns. Don't think that happens again, but like you said, I'm taking a shot on him as the flex. I do prefer Rondale Moore again this week, though. He was targeted 5 times on just 14 routes. Uh,
Wow. Wow.
so that means when this guy is on the field, they are making a pointed effort to
Yeah.
get him the ball. So just keep that in mind, when you're making these fantasy decisions, or you're looking for somebody to pick up. If Rondale Moore is on your waiver wire, pick this man
Oh
up. I'm
yeah.
just
Yeah, he
like,
should be
please.
added in all
'Cause
formats. This man's
as he gets worked
yeah.
into this offense, you already see what Kyler Murray has, the ability he has. Rondale Moore is a yak machine, but he's also a deep presence down the field, and that combination makes for some really good fantasy production. And again, I think you can continue to play him in a pinch if you really need, a flex, right?
Mhm.
So this game has a high total. I think if you really need a deep flex, that you could flex him for sure. And on the Minnesota side, Dalvin Cook, top 5 option at the position. Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen both should be viewed as wide receiver 1 options. And I think Kirk Cousins is a fine play in this
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
although Arizona is my stream of the week on the defensive side. But hey,
They get
man,
turnovers there. They're gonna make plays like that. That's how that defense
turnovers,
eats sacks.
sacks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
All right, let's move on to this next game, man. The 0-1 Atlanta Falcons travel to Tampa Bay to take on the 11-5 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is a 51.5 point total here. I went back and forth on this. Well, let me get to the injuries here before I get into that. But watch out for some rain. There will be some rain in this game potentially, so definitely watch out for that. Atlanta's okay on the injury front for Tampa Bay. Cornerback Sean Murphy Bunting. Sean Murphy Bunting is on IR with an elbow injury, and then Jason Pierre-Paul is questionable with a hand injury, and so for the game here, I went back and forth on this total. It's a question of if Atlanta could keep up. Like,
That's
can
what I'm saying.
Atlanta,
Yeah. I took
right?
the under, so yeah.
I'm taking the
I
under
feel you.
here. I went back and forth, but I'm like, can Atlanta keep up? So, Tampa Bay has an implied team's total of 32. That's the highest on the week. So I'm taking Tampa Bay to cover the 11.5 point spread. Taking Tampa Bay to win this game. On the Atlanta side, I think Calvin Ridley bounces back this week, as does Kyle Pitts. I think Mike Davis is an RB2 in PPR leagues, simply because he'll catch 6 balls or whatever. Uh, I'm not playing Matt Ryan in any season long leagues, but I think he's an option in like a DFS tournament. Someone you could stack this game with. But I'm definitely not taking the shot on season long outside of 2 quarterback leagues. For the Tampa Bay side, I think Tom Brady has a huge game this week for sure. Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. I mean, again, they're all wide receiver 2s with wide receiver 1 upside. It just comes down to where those touchdowns fall. And then the running backs have a phenomenal matchup, but I don't know which one to play. Right? You've got Bruce Arians, who's we've been saying on this show for how long now, Greg? I don't even know. A year, 2 years. Since he's been the head coach of the Bucks. My man is a liar. He lies. So
Yeah.
him telling me Ronald Jones is the starter this week, and then coming out and saying Ronald Jones, Leonard Fournette, and Giovanni Bernard are all starters. I don't know which one to play, but if I had to play one, I would play Fournette. But I think I would even go like an Elijah Mitchell over Fournette for sure. I think Gronk is in for another big game here against an Atlanta defense that struggled versus the tight end last week. I mean, they struggled versus everything, but a lot of points. Gronk should catch another touchdown.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with the under as well. I'm gonna go Tampa to cover and Tampa to win. Just respectfully, how they, to the Eagles, how they couldn't put up. They put up 6 points against the Eagles defense. Like, the Eagles defense, maybe they did improve a lot, but that's like kind of still embarrassing. Like, only 6 points is pretty bad. So I'm gonna think that Tampa Bay is gonna kind of pounce on them tomorrow. Tom Brady, QB1. The running backs is just it's a hard conversation to have every week about who to start and who to play. Like, would you take Damian Harris or Fournette this week?
Oh, it's Damian Harris.
Word. All right, yeah. So if I had to lean to one, I mean, it's hard to bank on Rojo's big play because you don't know when it's gonna come. So that's hard to like predict on. I would say Fournette's gonna give you a safer floor. So if you're looking for that, I'll play Fournette. And then with the receivers, AB, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. I agree with you on that. Their assessment. They're both wide receiver twos. One of them could have that wide receiver one upside with if they probably score. Could be Mike Evans week this week. We don't know. On the Atlanta side, looking to play Calvin Ridley, looking to play Kyle Pitts, but that's about it.
Yeah, definitely, man. Let's move on to wait. Are you playing Mike Davis
Against this rush defense? No.
I mean, he played them last year, caught like 9 balls both times in Carolina. He caught 6 passes last week. And if you're playing in the PPR league,
PPR leagues, I think RB3 for PPR.
Yeah, no, definitely RB3 for sure. What I said? I said he's an RB2 in PPR leagues, like low end RB2, like really low end RB2.
Yeah, you're right.
No, I think you're right actually.
Oh, we're
I was just clarifying that I think he's a lower end RB2, like closer to the RB3 side. So let's get on to this next game, man. Probably the most exciting game of the week. The Dallas Cowboys, 0-1 Dallas Cowboys, traveling to Los Angeles to take on the 1-0 Los Angeles Chargers. This game has a 55.5 point total.
Oh my God,
the highest on the week.
That definitely moved up.
Are 2.5 point favorites. This is according to FanDuel Sportsbook, and I grabbed these lines a couple of days ago, so forgive me if they're out of date, but that's how we have them here. So that's the lines that we are assessing. In terms of injuries, Randy Gregory out with COVID for Dallas. He's on the COVID IR list. DeMarcus Lawrence, another pass rusher here for the Dallas Cowboys, will be on IR with a foot injury. It seems that rookie linebacker, do-it-all linebacker Micah Parsons will be playing some significant snaps on the edge here for the Dallas Cowboys as they take on the LA Chargers, so they can just try to generate some pass rush. Greg, where are you at with this matchup, man?
55. I'm gonna still smash that over, man. Give me the over. Give me the Dallas Cowboys to cover, and give me the Chargers to win. I mean, this is gonna be just one of those close.
You got them covered 2.5.
Oh, the 2.5. Oh, I had the 3. The 3 for all right. The 2.5. I'm gonna take the Chargers to cover.
2.5. Oh, and 3.
Yeah, I'll take the Chargers.
You're gonna take them to cover 3.
Hey man, I've seen some wild for 2-point games, 1-point games, But I'll take the Chargers to cover then, and Chargers to win. I want every single piece in this game. If they play for either team, I want it. Dak, Herbert on both sides, Zeke, Eckler on both sides, Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Cedric Wilson. I think is going to get a deeper league dart play. Put me in there. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. I want every piece. Jared Cook, you already know my stream of the week. These are all going to be amazing plays this week. I think you can't go wrong. I don't think that there's like debates for any of these players in this game.
Nah, man, put them all in. I'm taking the over, taking the Chargers.
Put them all in,
taking the Chargers to win. Zeke bounce back game here. I think he has a really nice game. There will be a lot of touchdowns scored, and he should benefit from that. As for Dak, QB1, of course, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, wide receiver 1s, Cedric Wilson. Come on to the party. You could jump on one of my flex spots, bro. Dalton Schultz, he's my stream of the week at the tight end spot. But I wouldn't be surprised if Blake Jarwin's involved here too. Their numbers were like, from the peripherals, were like eerily identical. So
it's almost 50-50.
So I would definitely watch out for that. But Justin Herbert, top 5 quarterback option this week. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, both wide receiver 1 options this week. Greg, your tight end stream of the week. Jared Cook,
come on down.
Really nice game here coming. Austin Eckler, I think he's a low end RB1 option. I'm hoping the lack of pass game work last week was more injury related than an indication of as to how this offense will be and what Austin Eckler's role will be. He didn't run a route at all last week. I doubt that continues, just knowing the career of Austin Eckler and the kind of player that he's been. And Joe Lombardi comes from the Saints, and we saw Alvin Kamara and his usage in New Orleans historically as a pass down running back. I think that Austin Eckler is going to assume that role again. Didn't show up on the injury report this week with the hamstring, so that's good news. And the fact that he played last week has got to tell me that he's healthier than maybe we assumed he would be going into the game last week. But let's move on to this next matchup. The 0-1 Tennessee Titans traveling to Seattle to take on the 1-0 Seattle Seahawks. 53.5 point total. Seahawks are 5.5 point favorites. In terms of the weather here, 90% chance of rain in Seattle this weekend. Seattle and in terms of injuries, Tennessee's a bit banged up in the secondary. They've added 2 safeties to the injured reserve in Amani Hooker and Brady Breeze. For Seattle, their center Ethan Posick is he's on IR with the knee, and then wide receiver D. Eskridge, he's questionable with a concussion, and then running back Rashad Penny, he's doubtful with the calf. So that injury makes Alex Collins the backup running back to Chris Carson there. So if you are looking to get a high, potential high leverage running back, handcuff or a running backup that can step into a role, then definitely Alex Collins is the guy that you probably want to scoop up right now. In terms of the game here, I'm taking the over, taking Seattle to cover, taking Seattle to win. I don't think Seattle's going to hashtag let Russ cook. Only threw the ball 42% of the time on first and second down last week. That was a bottom 5 number in week 1. I think this is a very much a Chris Carson game, top 10 running back option. Now, Russ, DK, Tyler Lockett, they're all uber efficient, and the matchup here is great. The Tennessee Titans are terrible on defense, so you're absolutely starting all 3 of those guys. I think Gerald Everett is definitely another option as well. For the Tennessee side, Derrick Henry had 17 carries last week. If this game can stay relatively close, he will be involved again. He also always has the upside to be the number 1 guy, so he should be in your lineups this week. And although Seattle played the run well, the most of the damage done to them was by the Indianapolis running backs was in the pass game. Derrick Henry did have a 9% target share last week, so
did get some targets. You saw that?
Yeah, so I'm not saying that he's gonna do that. I'm just saying don't assume that he won't catch passes. I think Ryan Tannehill bounces back this week for sure. AJ Brown, wide receiver 1 option. I think Julio's closer to that wide receiver 3 option. We saw Chester Rogers be involved last week. I don't know if that was maybe game script dependent, but we'll see. And I think Anthony Ferguson can have a nice game this week. Greg, where you at?
With this game, I'm taking the under. I'm taking Tennessee to win, but I'm gonna take Tennessee to cover, but I'm gonna take Seattle to win the game. Yeah, I'm with you. Well, if it's gonna be a super rainy day, that would definitely make it more of a running back game. But I like Derrick Henry to bounce back this week. He still got you in that full PPR leagues. Getting you those 3 receptions really helped get you a nice floor for not a huge bust day for him. Chris Carson, I like him as well. The receivers I like on both sides for Tennessee, AJ Brown, and Julio. Mike Vrabel called him out this week. I think Julio does bounce back. Just on the other side as well, Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf should eat as well. The cap probably is a little crazy if it's gonna be a super rainy day. And Ryan Tannehill and Russell Wilson, they're great quarterbacks. They should be low in QB1s, both at their respective positions.
Yeah, I mean, so the rain isn't necessarily the biggest concern. It's always the wind, right? That's like the
Hmm.
thing we're always most concerned about. So I don't think that it'll be that big of an issue, but they will lean on the run game a little bit. But I don't think it'll necessarily stop them from being effective. But I think with Russell Wilson and Seattle thriving off that deep passing game, I think
Yeah.
that they'll definitely take some shots down the field. Let's move on to the Sunday 1 p.m. game here. Or sorry, not Sunday 1 p.m. Sunday night game here. The 8:20 p.m. kickoff. The Kansas City Chiefs
Patty.
traveling to Baltimore to take on the 0-1 Baltimore Ravens. This is a 55.5 point total. The Chiefs are 3.5 point favorites. In terms of injuries, offensive guard Tyre Phillips for the Baltimore Ravens is on injured reserve with a knee injury. Left tackle Ronnie Stanley, he's doubtful for this game with an ankle, so that's two of Baltimore's offensive linemen. Baltimore's getting really hit by the injury bug, man.
Yeah, man.
Um, Marquise Brown, he's questionable with an ankle. I think this is something he's kind of been managing though. Um, and then Kansas City is okay on the injury front. Greg, where are you at in terms of this game here?
Taking the under. I'm taking the Chiefs to win, and I mean take Chiefs to cover, and I'm taking the Chiefs to win. Historically, this game we always wanted a really great game, and we got some close ones, but usually Kansas City does dominate this matchup. So I'm gonna take Mahomes, of course, Patty, QB1, Clyde. I think he got good volume last week. Expect him to bounce back and play well. I think they control the game a little more with the rushing as they will be up. Tyreek Hill, of course, he's an absolute beast, can go for 200 receiving yards at any point. He got 197 last week. You're playing him as a top 3 option. And Travis Kelce as well. Yeah, you're playing him as a top 3 option at the tight end position. Lamar, he's going to create. He's going to do what he has to do. He has to be superhero every week with more and more with these injuries. Now, hopefully, Marquise Brown could be there for him. He's questionable on the week. As far as the run game, it's Lamar as well. But actually, Tyson Williams and Latavius Murray did play really well in their opportunity that they had. You saw how they leaned to Latavius Murray in that second half more. So it'll be interesting to see how that game works in this week. And Sammy Watkins and Marquise Brown, they played well last week. Look for them to hopefully use the passing game a little bit more, help Lamar out, get down the field. So I think Marquise Brown is a flex option, strong flex option, and Sammy Watkins is as well.
Yeah, man. I'm actually. You were talking about how this game historically, how it's like usually a good game, and I'm always like on the Baltimore side.
Oh yeah, always, every
Yeah,
time,
always, every time. I'm like Baltimore's
every
gonna do
time,
it.
yo.
I'm not on the Baltimore side today. I'm gonna take the under here. I'm gonna take Kansas City to cover. I'm going to take Kansas City to win this game here. Um, in terms of the matchup for Kansas City, it's easy, right? Patrick Mahomes, he's got to be Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. They've all got to be top options at their respective positions. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I think he has a nice game here too, as a low end RB1 this week potentially. And then for Baltimore, Lamar Jackson, QB1 for sure. Uh, like you said, he's going to have to make some plays here. Baltimore's undermanned. I think I was listening back to the episode the other day when you were talking about the playoff game, and then it dawned me what playoff game you were talking about against Tennessee when they were having to come back and he rushed for like 150 yards, had like 300 yards passing. It was just a ridiculous day from Lamar, and I think we're gonna see some of those games from Lamar.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, I'm totally into playing him. And then for the Baltimore Ravens, Tyson Williams, he's a mid-range RB2, but this thing will be a committee, like you were saying. Latavius Murray will be involved. I think he's an RB3 option. Mark Andrews should have a bounce back week here as a tight end, as a top tight end option. And then Sammy Watkins revenge game.
Oh, word. You gotta say
Yeah.
that a couple of times
Uh,
this year. Yeah.
4 of 8 for 96 yards last week in week 1. So didn't quite live up to the legend that is week 1 Sammy Watkins, but came pretty close. As he's getting older, he can't give us as much. I get it.
True.
But I think that he can have a nice game here in a matchup against these Chiefs. And then Hollywood Brown, man. So in his last 7 games, Hollywood Brown has 32 catches, 407 yards, and 7 touchdowns. If you break that down to a 16-game pace, I'll use the 16 games because I know everyone's brain is probably not calibrated for 17.
Yeah, word. We don't know what a 17-game season looks like. Yeah.
But 73 catches, 930 yards, and 16 touchdowns.
Word. So we should expect a 1,000-yard season from Hollywood Brown, basically, is what you said. 17-game season is going to change the 1,000-yard season. Like
1,000-yard season is no longer like a thing, right?
Yeah, right. Like,
let's see, 1,000. 1,062.5 yards is the new 1,000-yard season.
Got it.
All right, let's move on to this next game, the Monday night game here, with the 0-1 Detroit Lions taking on the 0-1 Green Bay Packers. This is a 48.5 point total. The Packers are 11.5 point favorites. In terms of injuries here for Detroit, DeAndre Swift is questionable with a groin. Jamal Williams, questionable with a chest injury. Green Bay didn't have anything to really worry about, but then some late news came in last night. It wasn't really that late, but Zadarius Smith, edge pass rusher for the Green Bay Packers, lands on IR with a back injury. I know he had a back injury last week, played through it, but they're shutting him down for some time here. So in terms of this game here, I will take the under. Actually, I should probably change that. I'm going to change that to the over. I think Green Bay's defense is a little banged up here with Zadarius Smith. I think that hurts a little bit. So I will take the over of the 48.5. I will take Green Bay to cover. I will take Green Bay to win. For Green Bay, Aaron Jones should have a good day here. Top 10 running back option. Devontae Adams should also have himself a day. Detroit has issues in the secondary, and I think he should dominate. And a guy I'm gonna bring up again, Greg, Marquez Valdez Scantling. Look, man, the beat reporters he was talked about as the most improved player in camp. Aaron Rodgers talked about how he improved. Comes out week 1, sees 8 targets, all from Aaron Rodgers, had 38% of the team's air yards in week 1, and goes up against Detroit, who allowed 18 yards per catch, a 75-yard catch rate last week to San Francisco wide receivers. Marquez Valdez-Scantling is seeing a 20-yard ADOT. I'm taking the shot on MVS as a wide receiver 3 flex option this week. Robert Tonyan, touchdown dependent, tight end option this week. So for Detroit, Swift, Hawkinson, the top options. Probably the only ones I would want to play. But Jared Goff has some stream appeal. We know that the damage done by New Orleans last week was on 5 touchdown passes by Jameis Winston. But being a double-digit dog definitely sounds like you might lead to some fancy production, but bad things definitely happen for you to lose by double digits. But either way, I think if you're playing, that Sunday, Monday slate on DFS, Jared Goff definitely does not seem like a bad option here. Jamal Williams, revenge game for my man here. He's an RB2 flex option this week. And I'm in wait and see mode on the Detroit wide receivers.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the under. I'm gonna take the Lions to cover. The spread is huge, but I'm gonna take the Packers to win the game. I'm pretty much with you on the Detroit side. Swift and Hawkinson. I think Swift is a safe RB2. Hawkinson is a top 5 option at the tight end position.
RB2, that's it?
I think he did finish the RB2 last week. So you're right. I'm gonna say high RB2, RB1 upside. I just want to, confirm, that it is RB1 season for Swift. But I'm here for it. I mean, I drafted him in a couple leagues. So
we've been saying that's not news to us.
Yeah, no,
we
it's not
both
news
had
to
him
us.
in our top 12 preseason. This isn't news.
Yeah, facts. Jamal Williams. That's because I was scared of what Jamal Williams also did last week. He also played very well.
Man. Detroit got nobody to throw the ball to.
That's true.
That's true. Hey, Swift Williams.
True.
Swift saw 11 targets.
That's true. Yeah. Nah, you love that. You love to see it. So yeah, you're playing him for sure. Jamal Williams you're also playing, and on the Packers side, Rodgers. You're playing him, Devontae, the usuals, Aaron Jones, and Robin Tunyon. I think got the tight end 1 upside if he gets those touchdown dependent tight end 1 pretty much. It's going to be Jared Goff is playable because I think he was a huge underdogs last week against the 49ers, and that plays well for fantasy in comeback mode. You're always going to end up with a high yard count. You'll get maybe some turnovers, but you have the yardage and the touchdown, and then that's definitely what matters in most fantasy leagues.
Yeah, I mean it could get bad though, right? Because Matt Ryan, we've seen it get bad,
True.
and we've seen it get bad for Jared Goff too.
That's true. That's true. Those are Darius Smith though, so that's huge. Like
no, that is huge. That is huge. It could go either way, but I think I'm willing to take the shot. I
apologize to DeAndre Swift, man. I mean RB1 season. I don't know what I'm talking about, man.
Thank you.
Because maybe last week because you scared me last week, and now I had this like I'm like
blame Ian Rappaport, bro, not me. Blame Ian Rappaport.
Oh yeah, RB1 season. Let's go.
Let's get to the starts of the week, man. Greg,
yes, sir.
Quarterback start of the week, brother. I need to hear it, man. What do you got?
You already know. It's the Herb time. It's Herb season. People thought, last week he played pretty well, 337, but only 1 touchdown. We know the Herb on 47 pass attempts. That touchdown rate is going to be higher than that. This man is all here for a multi-touchdown day. I think he gets 3 on the day against these Dallas Cowboys. This matchup, we're taking everyone. I expect a top 5 day. I think even top 3 day for the Herb right now.
Oh man, I'm so jealous because I really wanted to pick Herbert. We talked about it the top of the week. This guy's gonna have a phenomenal day here, and I would have loved to start him so I could put him on the wall back there, but you took him. So this next guy, I don't have a poster of. I'll never have a poster of, but he will be my start of the week. Tom Brady, my quarterback start of the week, going up against Atlanta. 10 days of prep time, gets to play at home. Again, which is good for the old man Tom Brady. The Bucs have the highest implied team total. Brady should be in line for a major game here, going up against an Atlanta defense that struggled to stop Jalen Hurts through the air. We know Jalen Hurts has those legs. We know he ran for a touchdown last. Did he run for a touchdown? I don't know, but he had some yards. I don't think he ran for a touchdown. But they allowed the 7th most passing fantasy points per drop back to Jalen Hurts last week. Tom Brady should take advantage of that. Have a huge day against Atlanta. Start him up.
Yes, sir. You got to love Tom Brady. I mean, he's just been awesome. If you give him a lot of time to go against Atlanta, you know what happens when he gets more than 7 days.
Oh man, and don't let that score get to 28-3.
Facts. That's a fact. It might be the other way this time.
Greg, your running back start of the week, man. What do you got?
I'm going with Chase Edmonds this week. We talked about it. I'm attacking this Minnesota rush defense all year. This guy that worked in receiving game, got 4 targets, 4 receptions for 43 yards. Also with his 12 carries, I just think a bump in both of those categories are coming this week. This is a smash spot for him in a high-scoring game where Arizona should be able to make some plays and get in high red zone opportunities for him. I love Chase Edmonds in this matchup.
No, man, I definitely love that one too. I'm gonna go with a confidence boost start of the week here. I'm going with Elijah Mitchell, man, as my running back start of the week. For those of you that signed him off waivers, you're worried about starting him. For me, he's a shoe-in to be a high-end RB2 here. According to Football Outsiders' adjusted line yards metric, San Francisco, their offensive line was 5th best in week 1. Philadelphia, 7th worst. I like to add up the offensive line, defensive line combinations, see where the best matchups might be. San Francisco has the 4th best matchup on the week. As long as he continues to see the volume, saw 19 carries last week, he will be productive, and I'm confident in him this week, so start him up.
Yes, sir. Love that.
Greg, your wide receiver start of the week, man. What do you got?
I'm going with the classic move of a stack start of the week with my quarterback. I got Justin Herbert. His main target guy is definitely going to be Keenan Allen. When they needed to make big plays last week, they always went to Keenan Allen, and I think that's where they're going to go. Mike Williams is definitely involved for sure, but 13 targets for Keenan Allen, that's what you love to see. He's going to get 10 plus easy this week, 100 yards, and even a touchdown. So I think you're going to expect a big day from Keenan Allen.
Definitely, man. I expect a big day, and my heart dropped when you said that you got a start of the year. You're going for the stack because I thought you were taking my wide receiver start of the week, but you didn't here because I just assumed everyone's going to be starting Keenan Allen. My wide receiver start of the week, Mike Williams, man. He, like you said, also had a high target share, 26% of 26%, almost 27% of the target share from Justin Herbert last week, who attempted 47 pass attempts, 25 of which were on first and second down. And this week they faced Dallas, who threw the ball 58 times against the Bucs. Again, this game has a 55.5 point total, according to FanDuel Sportsbook. Both teams are projected to score more than 26 points, with the Chargers being projected to score close to 30. I want a piece of this offense. Mike Williams gives me that. Mike Williams with Greg's stack of Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen. Start him up.
Yeah, it's got to be a first stack within the game, start of week receiver. Like, it's got to be one of the first. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. Greg, who's your tight end start of the week this week?
I'm going to take Noah Fant, my breakout. I mean, not my breakout, but my guy of the year, Noah Fant. 8 targets last week for 62 yards, high target share. No Jerry Jeudy. That just should increase his target share by even more. And the matchup against Jacksonville is just too juicy. I think he's going to have a huge day today. Top 5 day.
I'm really upset right now because I definitely had Noah Fant as my start of the week. But it's okay, man. We pivot, we adjust. It's crazy because I was like, I even wanted to say, Greg, I know Jared Cook is your streamer of the week, but I might go ahead and make him my start of the week.
Yeah.
I wanted to go Noah Fant here, but you just took Noah Fant. So I'm going to pivot. I'm going to go with, I can't believe I'm about to say this, Tyler Higbee going up against the Indianapolis Colts. Oh, my God. That just made me, oh, man. Just made me feel not so good. I feel queasy. But Tyler Higbee, start of the week, going up against the Indianapolis Colts, saw decent amount of targets last week from Matthew Stafford. Should be involved in this offense. The Colts, they didn't really do great against the tight ends last week, even though Seattle didn't throw the ball a ton. So I think Tyler Higbee is somebody that will be involved in the offense, could catch a touchdown pass. Tyler Higbee. If you don't have Noah Fant, if you don't have Jared Cook, start Tyler Higbee.
Yeah, I like that for sure. 2, good weeks in a row for Tyler Higbee. Let's go.
All right, Greg. Let's get to the get money time. And I'm a little bit more excited for this segment this week because your boy is 1-0. And so
that is true.
So for those that don't know the rules, we are going to have a draft on FanDuel, and we are going to make FanDuel lineups, but Greg and I can't pick the same players within our lineup. So there's a little bit more strategy involved here. I have the first pick this week.
Word.
So with the first pick, I will take Christian McCaffrey, 10K.
Ooh, juice early. With the juice early. I like that. With my first pick, I'm going to go, Yeah, I gotta do it early. I'm gonna take Justin Herbert at quarterback. I think it's just so important to have him at 7,600. Still amazing value. Put him in there in this Dallas game.
Yeah, that's all good, man. I'm gonna go Kenyon Drake 5,500 as my second running back.
Word.
Get
As
that
my
value early.
I like that. As my first running back, I'm gonna take Nick Chubb, 8,400. Slot him in there as my RB1. Huge day line up against Houston.
As my wide receiver one, I'm actually gonna take CeeDee Lamb 6,800. Want a nice piece of that Dallas offense.
At my second running back position, I'm gonna take Chase Edmonds at 6,000. Slide him in there. Yeah, that's my RB2 start of the week.
For my second wide receiver, I'm gonna go with Mike Williams. My start of the week at wide receiver, 5,600.
Word. I'm gonna go with as my first receiver Keenan Allen to stack up with Justin Herbert at 7,400. Yeah, I'm gonna put him slide him in there.
Okay. At tight end, I'm gonna go Darren Waller 7,000.
Oh man. Oh man.
Yeah,
Wow.
there's no Travis Kelce on the slate, so
Like
uh,
that.
I'm getting the best tight end on the main slate this weekend.
Like that. I'm gonna counter your CeeDee Lamb and put Amari Cooper in there.
Yeah,
7,800. Slide him in. I need as much as this Dallas Chargers game as I could get, so I
paying a
have three
thousand
pieces
more
already.
though.
You true. You're right. You're right. It's all good though. It's all good.
For my flex, I'm gonna go Elijah Mitchell, my running back start of the week, 5,800.
Mm, that's really good. It's really good. Then for my third receiver, I'm gonna take Allen Robinson, 7,200. Think he's in a very sneaky, great play right this week
Oh
against
no, Allen
Cincinnati.
Robinson's a great play this week.
Yeah.
Um, Let me just make sure I can't do something else. Okay. So for my third wide receiver, I'm gonna go Antonio Brown, 6,400.
Word. I love that. I'm gonna go T. Higgins in my flex. Going against Chicago, both bad secondaries. Get some of that game on both sides. 6,000 slide them in my flex.
For my defense, I'm gonna go Denver going up against Jacksonville, 4,600.
For my tight end, I'm gonna go Jared Cook, my stream of the week, possible start of the week even. Yeah, this man's gonna go off. And now a fourth piece in this Dallas LA Chargers game.
Well, for my quarterback, because that's the only spot I have not filled yet. If you haven't been able to tell, I'm going my start of the week, Tom Brady, 8,200. Slide that in.
And as my defense, I'm going to go the Cleveland Browns against Houston, 4,200. They're going to dominate. I also picked them up in League of Extraordinary People. So yeah, they're about to eat.
Yeah, man, this was like one of the first times I didn't have to change my lineup at all. I came in with a lineup and I didn't have to change it.
I had Elijah Mitchell in the flex, so I had to pivot real quick to T. Higgins. Yeah, because I had some money left over. Yeah, definitely got a lot of. This is a really good week that we got in store for us.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be fun for sure, and hopefully it's fun for all you out there listening and watching on YouTube. But just we appreciate the support wherever it is that you're listening, that you're watching us, however it is that you're consuming this content. Just make sure you subscribe. Make sure you have the notifications on so you know when a new episode comes out, especially with these game previews because on Saturdays they're usually going to come out in the afternoon. So you want to make sure you get them before the games on Sundays. You want to make sure you get those starts of the week. But you also make sure that you're following us on social media. We're at FF Diagnostics on Twitter and Instagram. Greg's at we_made it on Instagram. He's at gmoney_truth on Twitter. I'm at JR Football Nerd on all platforms. Good luck this week, everybody. Enjoy your matchups. Have fun. Remember, don't check those scores every 5 minutes. Just let the games play out and let the chips
It's good for
fall
the
in.
mentals, good for the mentals.
Exactly, man. You don't want to be stressed out. And you want to stay engaged and you want to have fun.
Word.
And
No one's trying to look at numbers all day, So
right?
word.
We spend so much time during the week doing that already.
Word.
Anyway, so.
Word.
But everybody, have a good one. We appreciate y'all, and we are out of here. Peace.
Yeah.